From the moment we wake up, we're using energy.
As we use up our fossil fuels, there's a real need to find new sources of energy. There are alternatives.
But what's the best option?
Wow. Alternative to fossil fuel, maybe wind energy.
I guess we should really be taking care of solar energy.
Maybe tidal energy.
I reckon wind and solar is not really a good alternative.
You could use hydrogen for cars.
I'm not sure whether there are other options.
Maybe wind power.
Hydroelectricity and wind electricity,
such as solar, wind, geothermal, etc.
I'm not quite sure what geothermal energy is.
I have heard of it, but I'm not quite sure what it is.
I'm not quite sure about the physics of it all.
Is that when there's like panels under the ground?
I actually don't know that much.
To be honest, what's that?
I haven't heard of geothermal energy.
Yeah, I guess geothermal energy should be a viable source for Australia.
Geothermal, I don't know, because I think mainly for geothermal you need to be in a volcanic activity sort of place, but New Zealand I know uses a lot of it, but maybe not so much from Australia, I don't know.
When you think of geothermal energy, you may think of volcanoes, steam vents and boiling mud pools. Here on the South Perth foreshore, there's not a volcano in sight, but there's a vast store of hot water right under our feet. Let's take a look.
If we travel 1,000 metres beneath the city of Perth, we find a vast hot water store trapped within the rock. To access this water, engineers drill an extraction bore down to the rock layer. The water flows into the pipe and is pumped to the surface. Once the water is above ground, its heat becomes a viable energy source.
It's 5 a.m. and 5 degrees, yet swimmers are showing up for their training session. Good thing the water's warm. Swimming pools around Perth are heated using the large store of geothermal energy hidden beneath our feet. This means that our athletes can train no matter what the weather. Heidi trains here most mornings. So how was training?
Good. It's always hard getting up in the morning when it's dark and cold, but once you're in the water, it's great because it's warm.
The hot water below Challenge Stadium is keeping the pool warm.
Water from underground enters the heat exchanger and passes its heat to the circulating pool water. So it's not electricity or gas that keeps this water warm all year round. It's geothermal energy.
And this is good news because not only is it cheaper to run, it uses less fossil fuel. Heating pools is just the beginning. Here at the University of Western Australia, scientists from the Geothermal Centre for Excellence are using the hot water right under our feet, not only for heating, but also for cooling.
At UWA, we are pioneering a new technology for cooling the campus with heat from the ground. The advantages of geothermal energy over fossil fuels, because geothermal energy is basically unlimited, it's clean, no CO2 emissions, and it's a steady baseload supply. We can use geothermal energy all along the coastline of Western Australia. There's first starting in the south with the Perth Basin, which goes up to Geraldton. From Geraldton further north, there's a Carnarvon Basin. Then there is a little gap in basins, sedimentary basins, and there's a Canning Basin after that, which is also containing a lot of geothermal energy, and further north of the Bonaparte Basin. So all along the western coastline we can use geothermal energy. The outcome of this research is basically to show that geothermal energy is viable right now, economically viable, and that we can actually use it to power our cities for the future. What we could do with one injection and extraction hole in the ground, we could actually win electricity at the high temperatures, say 160 degrees, then reject from that electricity plant the heat into an air conditioning unit that basically supplies cool or hot water for the district, and that basically then rejects water at temperature of 65 degrees. That 65 degrees is sufficient to drive a desalination plant, so we can desalinate seawater and win our fresh water supply from that source. And finally, if the water then comes out at 50, we can still use it for swimming pool heating, aquaculture, greenhouses, etc., and re-inject basically cold water in the ground. So we can drive an entire city from geothermal energy now.
So imagine your home cooled in summer and heated in winter by the hot water that lies deep underground. Instead of electricity or gas, Perth could be taking the first steps to becoming a sustainable city powered by renewable energy.